Beneath the relentless sun of ancient Mesopotamia lies the Aduba, a school of clay tablets and unyielding discipline. You are but a boy, no older than 8, destined for the life of a scribe. Here in this dim chamber cluttered with the echoes of repetitive recitations, you begin your arduous journey. Hours pass as you etch cuneiform into clay, each precise stroke a lesson in endurance. There is no margin for error, every mistake met with the sharp bite of a cane. This is a world where the weight of a stylus commands more than just words. It dictates your survival. Brace yourself. The path of the scribe is as unforgiving as the desert winds. Picture yourself at the tender age of 8, stepping into the bustling heart of ancient Mesopotamia, where the relentless pursuit of knowledge unfolds in the Aduba, the fabled tablet house. This is not a scene of carefree chanting or whimsical learning. Instead, it is a crucible of discipline and repetition, where young boys, harbouring dreams of becoming scribes, enter a world that demands endurance and precision over creativity and curiosity. The Aduba stands as a cornerstone in a society that relies on scribes to execute the essential tasks of recording transactions, drafting decrees, and engraving laws onto clay tablets. Here, literacy is not an abstract concept, but a pathway to wielding influence in a world where information equates to power. The choice to endure this path is rarely the child's own, but imbued with the lofty aspirations of family and community, casting a long shadow on tender shoulders as they journey towards the promise of status and stability. Seated on the rough, dusty floor beneath the intense heat of the sun, your journey begins with the arduous task of mastering cuneiform, the ancient world's complex writing system. With a reed stylus in hand, you confront a clay tablet, learning to etch hundreds of wedge-shaped signs where each mark carries weighty significance. Precision is paramount, for each misdrawn line could transform the meaning of a royal command or disrupt delicate trade agreements. Repetition becomes your constant companion, with countless hours spent tracing signs until your muscles ache, and every stroke becomes a test of patience and resilience. Errors are unforgiving, etched permanently into the clay, and every mistake brings the sharp reminder of a tutor's stern discipline, steering you towards an exacting standard of perfection. In this environment, the art of writing becomes as much a testament to endurance as it is to intellectual ability. The pressure to avoid mistakes is palpable, the consequences severe. Unlike today's easily correctable errors, each misstep bears the stern judgment of instructors and the potential accusation of negligence. The looming threat of punishment fosters a meticulous attention to detail and a steely respect for precision. As a scribe in training, every mark is a test of will, a challenge not only of skill, but of fortitude. Amongst your peers, relationships form and falter, a reflection of the larger societal hierarchies that define Mesopotamian life. Bonds of camaraderie provide solace amidst shared suffering, yet competition simmers beneath this unity, each student aware that excellence is as necessary as it is elusive. Guided by teachers embodying the dual roles of guardians and tormentors, you traverse the labyrinth of symbols and meanings. These stewards of ancient wisdom uphold the tradition of exacting discipline, wielding the cane alongside encouragement to instill a respect for accuracy and duty. While their methods may appear harsh, they fundamentally aim to prepare the next generation of scribes for the immense responsibility that literacy entails. The path is littered with moments of doubt and fear, as the demands and expectations from family and society weigh heavily. With every day, however, This pressure forges resilience, internalizing the skills necessary and translating them into a determined pursuit of mastery. For you, the passage through Edaba is not solely about mastering the writing symbols, but about becoming a custodian of your civilization's cultural legacy. Literacy extends beyond personal knowledge to the preservation and transmission of ancient traditions, myths, and laws, connecting your efforts with both ancestors and descendants. Each etched line is a link in the enduring legacy of Mesopotamia, a civilization striving for immortality through the written word. In the face of unfathomable challenges, the transformation occurring within these hallowed walls is profound yet subtle. Gradually, you evolve from a struggling student into a scribe, possessing the dexterity to inscribe narratives and document traditions with precision and confidence. After years of enduring and overcoming trials, recognition of your achievement emerges not from grand ceremonies, but through a subtle acknowledgement of mastery. The respect from family, the nods from peers, and the quiet pride from within validate the path you have walked. As the shadows lengthen over the bustling streets of Ur, Akkad, and Babylon, having survived the Edaba's unforgiving trials signifies more than personal triumph. It symbolises the culmination of your journey into the ranks of scribes. This transition heralds a new chapter, filled with its own challenges, yet the foundation laid within the Eduba endures as a testament to resilience, precision, and the enduring pursuit of knowledge. In the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, becoming a scribe was a journey filled with both promise and peril, captured vividly through the relentless rhythm of daily life. This world unfolded with tools so deceptively simple, they appeared as nothing more than a reed stylus, a damp clay tablet, and a wooden board. Yet these implements held the power to unlock the secrets of the world's first written language. The stylus, carved from reeds gathered along the Tigris and Euphrates, had to be honed to a perfect point, a task requiring meticulous care. With this slender instrument, a young apprentice would impress wedge-shaped cuneiform into clay, each mark precise, each stroke deliberate. The process demanded a deft touch, a touch that balanced the pressure needed to mark the clay without shattering the delicate tablet or leaving it too faint to be discerned. The clay tablet itself, albeit crafted from the same mud that lined riverbanks, transformed into a formidable bastion of ancient communication. Prepared with precision, it offered a durable surface that only revealed its secrets once baked. From royal edicts to merchant transactions, these were inscribed on this ductile medium, which was neither too wet nor too dry, just right to hold the impressions of history. To the untrained hand, a single misstep could erase hours of labour. This was the everyday education of a young student in the Eduba, the tablet house, a stark environment where scribes honed their craft under the hawkish gaze of a master. Writing in cuneiform was more than mere transcription. It was an art form, exhausting both mind and body. Each scribe was required to commit to memory innumerable symbols, a daunting array of signs with multiple meanings. Under the flickering dance of reed oil lamps, students would etch these symbols onto clay, sweat pooling as they laboured over every stroke. The weight of each mark was immense, with no room for error. A singular mistake could rewrite a document's intent, reflecting the mental strain of the craft. Teachers, ever vigilant, would correct deviations with a stern look or the crack of a stick. Here, in this demanding environment, repetition was not just a teaching tool, but a means of survival, a meditation transforming novice mistakes into seasoned skills. Over time, strokes flowed from constrained practice to something akin to muscle memory. Yet mistakes came at a high price. The repercussions of an error were swift and often harsh, instilling a culture of rigorous discipline. Under the supervision of a seasoned scribe, young trainees were subject to lessons enveloped in a mix of reverence and fear. These mentors not only imparted knowledge of cuneiform, but instilled discipline with unyielding rigour, maintaining that adversity produced excellence. The taskmaster's scrutiny was constant, each mistake met with correction, each correction an opportunity for punishment. The Adubba became a crucible where future scribes were moulded under unrelenting pressure, balancing between appeasing their demanding masters and facing dire consequences for shortfall. The scribe's life was marked by physical demands as arduous as the intellectual. Hours spent hunched over tablets left bodies aching, fingers cramped, nails split. Through sheer necessity, endurance became a vital skill, as young scribes bore the silent testimony of their trade in callous thumbs and blistered palms. Pain, a constant companion, hardened into a badge of dedication. In these circumstances, a shared camaraderie flourished among the pupils, a brotherhood formed in collective hardship. Bonds forged in silence provided strength, as companions toiled in unison, each striving for mastery in their chosen path. Scribal training extended beyond the Adubba's confines, reaching into the bustling veins of society. Advanced students took on practical tasks, documenting trade exchanges for merchants, calculating temple accounts. These real-world exercises taught students to adapt Adubba lessons to societal demands, transitioning from theory to practice. Amid marketplaces and sacred temple grounds, scribes moved from learning to execution, evolving their skills in response to the living needs of a growing civilization. Each inscription bridged personal growth with the societal fabric, as scripts varied from legal contracts to religious rites, and as scribes assumed the weight of these communications, they grew to understand the monumental role they played. Clay tablets, hefty in hand and heavy with significance, held both tangible and metaphorical weight. Physically dense, these slabs required a practical scribe to oftentimes work on the ground, expertly manoeuvring through the labour of creation. Their symbolic gravity, however, lay in every etched line that carried the authority of a king or the agreement between traders. Errors extended beyond personal consequence, wielding the power to alter societal dynamics. The maintenance of their tools became a scribe's daily ritual, a routine underscored by respect for their craft. A reed stylus, viewed as an extension of the scribe's hand, needed constant attention. Sharpening the reed's point was a practiced ceremony, essential for precision, vital for control. Equally, selecting and preparing clay was an art in itself. Achieving the right consistency was paramount, a fine balance that ensured creations would endure. These routines transcended mere preparation, becoming a symbiotic dance where the scribe endowed their tools with purpose and meaning. In a civilization that stretched over millennia, scribes were the quiet custodians of tradition and innovation. Their methods remained consistent, yet within these bounds flourished a creativity that met the evolving needs of their time. As independent thinkers, they drove the expansion of script, ever revising tools and styles to suit a complex society's narratives. Through continuity and creativity, scribes preserved the past while etching the future onto the clay of today. From the Adubba to the heart of public life, the legacy of a Mesopotamian scribe was written in clay, as essential as the stone monuments of kings. While their labour was often unseen, it was no less monumental, capturing the essence of civilization within fragile tablets. Their work, performed with bruised fingers in the flickering light, became the enduring gift of knowledge, passed from generation to generation across time and dust. In ancient Mesopotamia, the bustling cradle of civilization, mastering multiple languages, wasn't just a prestigious skill, it was a key to survival. This region, pulsating with a diverse tapestry of tribes and empires, stood as a linguistic crossroads, teeming with voices that sang in varied tongues. As a fledgling scribe, you found yourself plunged into this vibrant confluence, not merely tasked with learning a new language, but navigating a dense, intricate maze of symbols that spanned centuries and territories. Sumerian, the language of your ancestors, was a relic of sacred temple rites and literary classics. While it had long faded from the streets, its essence lingered, immortalised on clay tablets. Learning Sumerian was like deciphering echoes from a bygone era, each cuneiform sign a whisper of gods long past. demanding reverence and precision. Within the quiet corridors of temple schools, you learn to interpret these cryptic writings, becoming a custodian of voices that invoke divine mysteries and ancient wisdom. Yet to thrive in the ever-shifting sands of political landscapes, mastering Akkadian was vital. This diplomatic tongue swayed across desks of kings and courtiers, stitching together empires through its eloquence. Within its Babylonian and Assyrian dialects lay the power to craft treaties and tales that reshaped histories. As a scribe, your fluency in Akkadian bore testimony to your erudition and elevated you to the echoes of power and influence within city-states. Each glyph carried the weight of lore and myth, a testament to your society's ethos, and to wield it gracefully was to hold the delicate strings of authority. Even as your understanding of Sumerian and Akkadian deepened, the mercurial demands of trade and conquest might entangle you with the scripts of rivals, Elamite and Hittite. Studying these languages was akin to dancing on the precipice of recent hostilities, deciphering the shifting fortunes of former enemies or allies. Through each Hittite tablet and Elamite contract, you glimpse the psyche of distant courts, their symbols revealing stories both foreign and profound. You became a conduit, a line binding fragmented histories into coherent expressions across cultural chasms. Every day was a delicate dance with the divine, for cuneiform writing was a sacred duty. Each stroke of your stylus on clay was an invocation, a reverent act of channeling celestial voices. To miswrite a deity's name was to invite disaster, a cascade of omens spilling into mortal affairs. As an apprentice, you grasped the enormity of this responsibility, not just as a skill, but as a divine stewardship. Every lesson was cloaked in the weight of mythological nuance, demanding that you weave human and divine narratives into an unbroken thread of understanding. The collaborative spirit of your education was a testament to the power of shared wisdom. Together, within the Adaba, the tablet house, you and fellow pupils delved into these languages under the guidance of master scribes. Mistakes were lessons, communal bonds forged through mutual discovery and correction. Each new sentence was currency traded among peers, each misstep an opportunity for growth. Through the mingling of voices, a mosaic of language emerged, vibrant and alive, held together by the threads of common pursuit. In a world primarily steered by spoken word, the ability to write was a rare gift, a bridge from the ephemeral to the eternal. Literacy was a cornerstone that transformed oral tales into enduring declarations, linking generations. As a scribe, your stylus did more than document. It thrummed with the energy of cities, temples, and ancestors, binding communities with the ink of memory. The simple act of writing sustained civilization, a craft that preserved the lifeblood of culture across silent centuries. The evolution of language demanded your adaptability, urging you to innovate amidst an ever-changing world. As societies evolved, so too did their languages, sprouting new glyphs to meet contemporary needs. You became part of this dynamic process, sculpting these symbols to record emergent philosophies and measures. Whether shaping dialects intricately tied to Babylonian dominion or navigating new pathways, you imprinted the melodies of change onto the solid plane of tradition. Yet the burden of mastering this linguistic labyrinth was immense. Balancing the precision required for multiple languages took a profound emotional toll. With each clay tablet etched, fear of error loomed large, imperiling your work and its sacred legacy. But it was this rigorous pursuit of linguistic excellence that refined you, searing into your soul a resilience born of discipline and dedication. Through your craft, you joined an unbroken chain of guardians, preserving humanity's memory across vast stretches of time. Your carved tablets became cultural touchstones, anchors in the tides of history. Even as centuries passed and new truths emerged, the language of the ancients lived on, their voices echoing in silent libraries of stone and clay. As a scribe, your legacy endured, etching the mysteries of ages past into the fabric of human consciousness, ever present beneath the skies of history. In the bustling cities of ancient Mesopotamia, scribes emerged not from ranks of nobility, but from necessity. They arrived from modest beginnings, recruited when the might of memory and oral traditions could no longer hold the expanding demands of burgeoning civilizations. These young boys, drawn from humble backgrounds, entered the trade early, indoctrinated into the demanding life that called for an unwavering devotion to detail and constant vigilance. Society did not celebrate scribes. Their existence was a thankless one, hidden in the shadows of the arenas where merchants, priests and nobles received the glory. Charged with the daunting task of documenting nearly every facet of communal life, scribes were the silent sentinels behind the scenes, witnessing the ebb and flow of goods, taxes and tithes. As cities grew, thriving with commercial and religious fervour, the scribes etched every transaction with care, understanding that their coveted accuracy kept the delicate balance from descending into chaos. The bustling bazaars, bustling and fragrant with spices, saw scribes manoeuvring through grain counts, verifying stocks of fish, and keeping divine records on clay tablets whose integrity held the livelihoods of many. In addition to their duties in commerce, scribes played an indispensable role in the legal realm. They preserved the very framework of civilization on clay tablets, touching all aspects of society, from recording land ownership deeds to drafting marriage contracts. The immutability of written law underscored the essential nature of their work, translating agreements into unbreakable promises and societal precepts. As messengers of legality, their pens could either bind peace accords or unravel social fabrics, leaving them in a constant state of high-stakes tension. Mistakes here led to disappointment at best, violence or ruin at worst. Accuracy wasn't merely an expectation, it was perceived as a cardinal virtue among scribes and weighed heavily in daily life. Mistakes were punished severely, with repercussions ranging from financial penalties to public humiliation, or worse. The omnipresent need for precision saw scribes teetering on a knife's edge, their capacity for human error narrowly opposed by the consequences of it. The rigid discipline required contrasted starkly with the often grueling environment in which they worked. Bent over their clay tablets, their labour-intensive routine left little room for mistakes in the delicate dance of diplomacy and delicate contract terms. With precision, scribes also engaged in the lesser-known but equally demanding task of copying significant texts. This required an unfaltering perseverance that ensured the culture's shared mythology, spiritual beliefs, civic codes, and historical annals reached future generations unchanged. Beyond mere replication, the task involved understanding the essence and nuances of the original texts, ensuring that each symbol and phrase was reproduced faithfully. While kings sought immortality through deeds and conquest, it was the scribe who etched their narratives into memory, rendering them immortal even as their identities faded into obscurity. Navigating a vast multilingual world, scribes were intellectual elites, mastering languages like Sumerian, Akkadian, and if fortune frowned, perhaps even Elamite or Hittite. This polyglot ability underscored their importance and influence, bridging numerous cultures, participating in the intricacies of diplomacy and grasping the intricacies of trade. Linguistic prowess empowered scribes, endowing them with a vital but unseen influence that lurked beneath the surface of power politics. In a world where language was authority, scribes became the conduits through which messages could harmonise or discord would fester. Their roles extended beyond the material and the political into the realm of myth and memory, where they painstakingly recorded the rich stories of gods, heroes and cosmic battles, and thus the essence of Mesopotamian identity. These scribes shaped the legends that are fundamental to understanding the cultural and spiritual fabric of their society, infusing their labour with a different form of artistry that required as much understanding as it did skill. While the accounts they recorded became the eternal whisperings of ancient civilization, the hands that shaped them rarely claimed recognition. Balanced between the politics of palace and temple, scribes engaged in a silent dance of loyalty and discretion, their allegiance often brewing silently beneath the surface of daily assignments. While they recorded tax decrees in the halls of kings or chiselled hymns within sacred precincts, their positions required an artful neutrality. Though they ensured the continuity of governance and divine ordination, any misstep could lead to swift repercussions. They were charged with upholding the delicate equilibrium between secular power and sacred duty, their influence invisible yet pervasive. In this intricate web of influence and invisibility, scribes remained central figures within the grand tapestry of Mesopotamian politics and governance. While their names rarely adorn the clay they so carefully inscribed, their narratives shape the destiny of their world, orchestrating the ebbs and flows of power from behind the curtains. These unnamed scribes were both the architects and caretakers of civilization, carving sentences and setting stone the very fibre of history for future generations to decipher from the ancient marks left in the remnants of mud. Though largely anonymous, their indelible impact remained, guiding the fate of kingdoms and preserving the brilliance and absurdity of a long-lost world. The scribe's day begins as the first light crests the horizon, casting a gentle glow over the waking city. Each day is a mirror of the last, dictated by the unchanging cycle of work that starts at dawn. Kneeling over wooden boards, the ritual commences. Fresh tablets await their turn under the stylus. The crisp morning air carries a distinct scent of wet clay. The sunrise is the silent cymbal crash heralding another grueling day. Preparing the clay is simple, yet exacting. Too dry, it crumbles. Too wet, it devolves into a sloppy mess. Fingers muddy, the scribe enters the day's endless labour. As the sun climbs, the scribe becomes absorbed in a world of replication. The Aduba, or tablet house, is an enclave cut off from the bustling world outside, a place wholly dedicated to the pursuit of transcription. Here the task is clear: to inscribe, to record, to ensure that each symbol immortalised in clay carries its precise meaning. Each stroke of the stylus must be flawless. A single deviation can lead to disastrous misunderstandings, the sound of the stylus tapping on clay echoing the cycle of creation and recording. The task is relentless and mirrored by the sun's arc across the sky, its predictability rivaling that of the labour it oversees. Words powerful and eternal vibrate through these halls of labour. For the ancient scribe, copying is more than a job. It's a craft entwined with survival and legacy. They are not simply conduits of language. They are artisans, crafting symbols and wielding influence in their world. To them, words bear the weight of history, resonating with wisdom and the identity of their civilization. Every scribe knows that words can construct or devastate, displaying power with each symbolic scratch. This awareness is a constant weight, shadowing every motion as the stylus presses into clay. The air in the dim rooms is heavy with history that must be etched before it fades into memory. The duty of preserving culture with precision is profound. These transcriptions are more than mere markings, they're gateways to ancient experiences and beliefs. Even amidst flickering lamps and deepening shadows, scribes remain conscious of the magnitude of their task. The words they copy from dawn to dusk preserve a world, allowing the stories and visions of Mesopotamia to echo through the ages. Precision is the scribe's unyielding companion. Every character inscribed on a tablet requires meticulous care, a delicate dance of stylus and clay. Missteps are catastrophic, potentially altering narratives or decrees. A single error invites ripples through economies and faith. Precision demands concentration, devotion, and an unyielding self-scrutiny, a mental challenge as exhausting as it is necessary. This pursuit is non-negotiable. Scribes earn respect not through creativity, but through unwavering accuracy. The period they inhabit allows no deviations or shortcuts. Altering hymns or proclamations could lead to ruin. This relentless demand for truth fosters a unique fatigue, a slow burn wearing down energy as it consumes. Yet from this, scribes emerge resilient, exhibiting a dedication born out of necessity. They are sculpted from the labour they engage in daily, their focus honed by the sun and moon alike. The monotony of endless copying unintentionally becomes a path to mastery. For these ancient record keepers, the repetitive rhythms of their trade reveal an unexpected solace. Each replicated tablet brings them closer to mastering their craft, transforming dull routine into gradual perfection. What appears as drudgery unveils itself as a sacred rite, a progression from apprentice to master, with each repetitive stroke refining ability. The artistry, though often unnoticed, is authentic. Over time, movements flow naturally, turning pain into poetic labour, merging beauty with skill. Time, relentless and steady, weaves itself through the scribe's enduring toil. Hours stretch into eternity, days blending seamlessly together, work consuming both spirit and mind. Yet amid this endless procession of time, scribes develop an acute awareness of life's larger rhythms, aware of their role as echoes within a profound historical narrative. Each moment a reminder of unfulfilled duties and incomplete symbols, scribes become custodians preserving time within enduring clay. By capturing fleeting moments on tablets, they uncover beauty amidst harshness, inscribing the essence of the present and the weight of the past into an eternal narrative. Silence envelops the scribe's world, profound and potent. Surrounded by solitude, they find a strange companionship in this quietude, broken only by the stylus's faint scratch or the occasional grunt of exertion. The silence breeds focus. This meditative solitude allows introspection, transforming silence into an ally in their work. Yet this quiet world harbours loneliness. Within this silence, scribes reflect, scrutinising thoughts and chasing meanings across clay surfaces. Though cities buzz with life beyond, the scribe's journey is intensely personal, a solitary pursuit of meaning in a sea of repetition. In the ancient world of Mesopotamia, where the lines between the divine and mortal were as blurred as the dusty skies, scribes thrived under a grievous mantle of responsibility. Their task was not merely transcription. They were the keepers of sacred words, every stroke of their stylus bearing the weight of history, law and divine will. A misstep could anger the gods, mislead a king, or ruin a city's fortunes. Imagine the onerous task of interpreting omens, where a miswritten symbol could spell disaster, unleashing calamities on communities and individuals alike. In this precarious dance with destiny, a scribe's life hung perpetually on the edge, each line etched into clay a potential pivot point for fates beyond their own. Their fear was not of divine retribution alone. Earthly masters held little lenience for mistakes. A scribe's days were punctuated by a constant anxiety, a pressing need for precision as severe as a looming storm. With ledger entries of merchants scrutinised to the minute detail and royal decrees held to exacting standards, mistakes bore immediate consequences. A wrong numeral could unravel agreements, whilst a misstated decimal was enough to incite fury in the marketplace or court. The education of a scribe was vital and brutal. Imperfections were met not with understanding, but with correction by rod, each welt a testament to the expectation of perfection. Beyond the physical reprimands, societal judgment in these close-knit communities struck with a force just as crippling. Public shaming stood as a stark reminder of a scribe's fallibility, where errors led to an ultimate parade of dishonour. To be labelled incompetent was to face derision from peers and family, not merely a personal disgrace but a stain upon the family's honour. The scribe's failure became a public spectacle, a cautionary tale etched into the community's memory with the unforgiving precision of the cuneiform itself. Woven into the fabric of a scribe's life was the permanence of their work. Unlike materials that might allow editors' corrections, clay was unwavering, its justice harsh. Once inscribed and dried, a tablet was as unchangeable as the firmament above. This merciless permanence required a meticulousness that bordered on the obsessive, each document a testament not just to skill, but to an intimate dance with destiny, where error meant risking both immediate wrath and long-term ruin. Thus, scribes alternated between temple sanctuaries and palace halls, each venue demanding their exacting skills, yet offering different trials. Within the temples, their errors risked divine displeasure, with implications of spiritual and agricultural ruin, potentially laying wastage to entire harvests. In palaces, the currency of error carried a social cost, threatening the political landscape with implications that could tumble kingdoms. In these corridors of power, scribes were pawns, serving often fickle masters who infrequently acknowledged their indispensable contributions, except through harsh discipline or dismissal into obscurity. For a scribe, banishment equalled more than professional demise. It bespoke a social death, a descent into anonymity where patron support vanished, casting them adrift in a harsh world unwilling to forgive or forget. Their deft hands and intricate knowledge became curiosities lost in obscurity, fossils of past academic prestige, with only the shifting sands as a backdrop to their fading relevance. Such a fall was not merely a personal tragedy, but a resounding confession in societal values, where a skilled scribe was discarded like brittle clay when marred by error or failure. These realities birthed cunning adaptations. Scribes, possessing the foresight of survivalists, developed quick wits, crafting alliances and employing strategies to buffer against disaster. Informal networks and support among scribes allowed for gentle corrections of error and the occasional turning of blind eyes, a covert culture bred from necessity. These alliances formed a clandestine tapestry, woven from shared resilience, a community of artisans steeled by the constant threat of failure. Consistently, scribes navigated the narrow path between artistry and rigid obligation. Their lives a testament to the tension between creative elegance and demanding precision required by their duties. To indulge in artistic flair risked overshadowing the trusted accuracy demanded by their masters and the celestial judgment they feared. Yet, woven into the tablets were whispers of individuality and innovation hidden beneath layers of traditional compliance. Subtle flourishes that echoed the whispered desires for self-expression caged by the ages. Ultimately, life as a scribe in ancient Mesopotamia was a continuous pursuit of perfection, a life defined by vigilance, shaped by the constant dance with ruin. Each stroke of their stylus formed not just words, but a legacy of endurance, a narrative testament to the formidable tenacity of those who preserved history with every nuance and syllable. Their sacrifices narrate an unyielding story of resilience, alerting modern minds to the eternal relevance of precision, creativity, and survival in the relentless march of history. In the dim corridors of ancient Mesopotamia's temples and courts, the life of a scribe unfolded with a mix of privilege and peril. As a scribe, you found yourself weaving intricate narratives of power and devotion, navigating a world where words conveyed the will of gods and kings. The temple, with its towering ziggurats and incense-laden air, offered an environment steeped in reverence and scholarly pursuit. Yet behind its sacred facade, ambitious human desires churned. Within this world, priests vied for dominance, leveraging your precise records to influence religious and political landscapes. Every ritual you recorded, each hymn you crafted, had the weight of divine approval or condemnation. This atmosphere of sacred duty nonetheless was a gilded cage. Amid the chants and rituals, it was essential to maintain spiritual devotion, not simply to the deities, but also to the intricacies of human allegiance. Your meticulous record-keeping could be manipulated by high priests seeking leverage, while any misstep in a prophecy or offering record could quickly turn into a scapegoat for failure. Within temple walls, the life of a scribe demanded a delicate dance of piety, politics, and caution, each tablet a testament to the unseen machinations of power. Unlike the ostensibly peaceful temple, the court was a theatre of ambitions and shifting loyalties. As a scribe here, you became the silent architect of laws, the ghostly keeper of royal decrees. Your proximity to rulers and nobility allowed you insight into the great dramas of the realm. But this closeness came with its own dangers. Factionalism was rife, and alliances could crumble as easily as a clay tablet in careless hands. Favour with powerful patrons was a double-edged sword, offering both opportunity and risk. A wise scribe navigated these treacherous waters with skill, using not only the stylus but also wit and insight to retain favour while remaining imperceptible. This apparent power inevitably concealed chains that bound you tightly. Your role demanded not only linguistic acumen, but absolute fidelity to the currents of power you served. Though your hands etched the stories that shaped Mesopotamia, you operated under the whims of those above you, denied the autonomy your indispensable skills should have earned. This servitude was both an honour and a burden. The narratives you crafted provided continuity and legitimacy to domination, yet you remained unacknowledged, a silent ghost weaving a tapestry of history. Errors, no matter how minor, could prove catastrophic in this unforgiving milieu. The ancient world tolerated no mistakes, and as a scribe, the consequences of such slips were severe. Misplaced tablets, or faulty transcriptions could incite divine displeasure or royal ire, leading to punishment ranging from fines to banishment or even death. The perilous stakes demanded a level of perfection synonymous with survival, the smallest misstep threatening to unravel your carefully constructed existence. Tethered by responsibilities, silence became your constant companion. In a realm where your writings defined destinies, your voice was muted, silenced by the demands of neutrality and confidentiality. The insights you garnered from observing the machinations of court and temple were locked within you, as speaking could be perilous, suggesting preference or inciting envy among peers. This unspoken restraint cultivated resilience, ensuring that your grasp of power dynamics remained instinctual yet unvoiced, for survival demanded discretion. Every scribe experienced the duality of knowing power yet remaining barred from exercising it. The knowledge you possessed, your key to influence, afforded only peripheral involvement in decision making. You stood as witness to great decisions but lacked the authority to alter their course. However, your unheralded role was vital. Through your tireless efforts, you sustained the narratives essential for governance and religious practice, serving as an unseen architect of civilization while constrained by the limitations of your station. Balancing the sacred with the secular added complexity to your challenges. Serving both the temple and court, you needed to adeptly shift between divergent expectations. While temples demanded scrupulous accuracy for divine appeasement, courts emphasized efficiency and adaptability amid the ever-changing tides of political demand. Successfully navigating these worlds required not just technical expertise, but a keen sense of responsibility toward the stories you immortalized on clay, a link between earthly and divine obligations. Loyalty to patrons or institutions frequently tested your principles and survival instincts, demanding delicate maneuvers through complex allegiances. Your fidelity determined not only your rank but also posed potential risks amidst shifting power dynamics. Remaining impartial presented challenges. Regardless of the circumstances, allegiance was complex, requiring skill in maintaining connections that protected both your position and existence. In the grand narrative of Mesopotamian life, a scribe's contributions, though largely uncelebrated, held immense significance. Each record you made shaped societal structures, facilitated law enforcement, and preserved mythologies for future generations. While rulers and warriors garnered recognition, your work ensured their deeds were remembered, speaking through time with marks once etched on clay. As a scribe, your labour transcended time, crafting a bedrock for civilizations while your story remained mostly unsung, echoing in the enduring legacy you helped to form. In the shadowy alleys of ancient Mesopotamia, a battle unfolds not with swords but with a humble stylus. The scribes, those unassuming guardians of knowledge, wield power in silent warfare. Amidst the clamour of military conquests and political intrigue, the scribe stands at a crucial junction, tasked with documenting troop movements and crafting dispatches that could alter the fate of empires. Their tablets, though seemingly mundane, contain the lifeblood of entire cities, concealed beneath the weight of clay and ink. Imagine standing at the edge of a battlefield, the air thick with an impending thunderstorm of war. Here the stakes are life and death, not just for soldiers, but for scribes ensnared in the high stakes of espionage. A single misplaced symbol turns a trusted document into evidence of treason. The tools of scribes, a reed stylus and a lump of moist clay, are deceptively simple, yet their implications vast. The wrong message, sealed and sent, could lead someone to the scaffold rather than the spoils of victory. In a world devoid of digital screens and encrypted communications, information travelled through scrolls and tablets, their surfaces etched with coded messages. Scribes, often doubling as covert operatives, guised information within a labyrinth of symbols and ciphers. These tablets, sealed and sent through enemy lines, became whispers in a game of shadows where a slip of loyalty might tumble an empire like a house of cards. Amidst these high-wire acts of discretion, the line between duty and betrayal often blurred, hinging on the steady hand of the scribe. Consider the clandestine task of forgery, an art requiring deft fingers and an intimate knowledge of a ruler's scroll. The act of forging a king's signature, turning a scribe into a silent power broker, weighed heavily within these clay documents. Forgery, a perilous facet of their craft, transformed the mundane into mortal peril. They possessed the ability to sway alliances with furtive strokes, yet remained ghostly figure in history, walking precariously on the precipice between influence and disaster. A single misstep meant betrayal laid bare. Life for scribes was fraught with peril, not just from enemy forces, but from within their own courts. Each decision, each stroke of the stylus, had the potential to crown or condemn, to elevate stature or erase it entirely. Mistakes meant more than mere rebuke, they spelled ruination. Every tablet was a trial, each line potentially the fuse for a political powder keg, threatening reputations or invoking accusations of treason. The quiet life of a scribe was anything but. It was a nuanced ballet of survival. In the hushed corridors of power, scribes often found themselves pawns in a dangerous game, caught between powerful patrons and their own desire for survival. Drafting decrees or treaties, they penned the stories that shaped civilization while teetering on the edge of oblivion, their loyalties as malleable as the clay they inscribed. As keepers of both history and of secrets, best left buried, scribes understood too well the precarious nature of power. Their influence lay in the subtlety of silence, carved invisibly into tablets that could spark revolutions or topple dynasties. Yet this power, mingled with peril, was a double-edged sword. Their existence was governed by alliances and betrayals, their very survival tethered to the whims of unpredictable patrons. Standing at crossroads of history, they navigated turbulent tides of favour and danger, their lives a constant negotiation between ambition and caution. Scribes hidden in annals of time were mirrors of deception, a testament to their craft, reflecting a landscape where truth and lies intertwined. In this world of shadows, a scribe's strength lay in subterfuge. Their narratives, steeped in duplicity, often served as both inspiration and indictment. Deceptions artfully crafted under their adept hands became harbingers of histories filled with tales both noble and nefarious. The legacy of a scribe is forever etched in clay, a reflection of the weight words can wield. These writings resonate across millennia, preserved not merely as historical artifacts, but as living echoes of human ambition and folly. Their tablets, seen through the lenses of the present, are prophetic whispers from the past that still murmur of wars and wisdom, victories and vulnerabilities. Amidst the veneer of historical greatness, scribes remain an anonymous force, their contributions both monumental and unsung. They were the architects of stories, invisible yet indomitable, crafting legacies that survived long beyond their whispers. Though they wielded a pen rather than a sword, their strength was no less formidable, for through clay and ink, they transcribed the tale of humanity itself, capturing the essence of each climactic moment in the rich tapestry of time. In a land where kings were immortalised in statues, and epic tales and gods commanded unwavering devotion, scribes quietly etched the stories of an era into clay, rarely finding their names among the narratives they preserved. These unsung architects of storytelling infused life into the legends like the Epic of Gilgamesh and the sacred hymns that reverberated through ancient temples. Their work, demanding in precision and dedication, was fundamental to preserving the rich tapestry of human history. Yet while they captured divine decrees and royal mandates, their existence remained largely anonymous, casting an enduring shadow over their contributions. The silence surrounding scribes did not diminish the gravitas of their labour. Each symbol in clay stood as a testament to their craft, a manifestation of skill honed through sacrifice. It is through their tireless efforts that the ancient voices echo today, safeguarding an era that would have otherwise crumbled into oblivion. Existing in the paradox of invisibility, these scribes lived through the very legends they inscribed, their legacy a silent endurance etched in durable clay, awaiting the patience of modern archaeologists to uncover the stories hidden within every mound of earth. In the bustling courts and sacred temples of Mesopotamia, scribes became the unseen hands behind the divine voices. Kings often proclaimed themselves as the conduits of the gods, yet it was the scribes who transcribed these sacred messages with utmost care, ensuring that each directive from Anu or Enlil was captured accurately. In this task, fraught with peril, the scribes faced the threat of harsh punishment for any error that might anger both mortals and deities. Hidden behind their cuneiform texts, they navigated a delicate balance between faith and duty, their efforts unheralded yet pivotal in maintaining the delicate fabric of religious and secular life. The scribe's laborious pursuit of perfection required capturing both spiritual invocations and worldly decrees. This duality positioned them as the unsung bridge between the divine and the mundane, leveraging their skills to appease the heavens and regulate earthly affairs. They remained in the shadows, their contributions acknowledged only in the rare moments of error, where the consequences of their anonymity became painfully evident. Despite this, their artful anonymity crafted a legacy that served as the backbone of ancient storytelling, a reminder of the complexities inherent in their hidden roles. Epic narratives like the Epic of Gilgamesh have endured through millennia, yet the voices telling these sagas belong not only to kings and gods, but also to the nameless scribes. With deft strokes of the stylus, they etched epic tales and divine decrees into clay, enabling societies to converse with their ancestors. Their silence is palpable, their presence woven into every captured story that holds humanity's ambition and divine interaction. Acting as literary midwives, scribes ensured that the lessons of these narratives transcended generational boundaries, crafting a moral compass integral to the fabric of society. While each story they painstakingly inscribed is now essential to understanding ancient Mesopotamia, the individuals behind the legends remain faceless. Though they received no personal accolades, their work was a silent rebellion against forgetting, preserving civilization's stories, and confrontations against time's erosion. Unnamed yet immortalized through their labor, these scribes exist today in the retelling of their stories, continuing to stir imagination and comprehension. Their narratives form a bridge from past to present, silently confirming their place in history, despite their voiceless contributions. Scribes were not merely tellers of tales, but architects of lore, shaping the foundations of Babylonian governance. In crafting legal texts and documenting judgments, they wove the societal structures that held ancient Mesopotamia together. However, in this paradoxical role, they were subject to the very laws they wrote, often falling victim to the whims of those in authority. Etching the labyrinth of justice, their missteps could lead to grave consequences, making them both creators and captives of the law. Their role in sustaining civic life remained uncelebrated, their mastery of the legal lexicon overshadowed by vulnerability. Within this precarious environment, scribes traversed the delicate intersections of justice and hierarchy. Despite their intimate understanding of the judicial system, they often found themselves ensnared by its intricacies. A harsh reflection of societal structures mirrored in their daily existence. Their craftsmanship preserved order while teetering on the brink of chaos, embodying the ironic duality of their craft. Though their achievements in shaping the law were unacknowledged, the stability they ensured laid groundwork for the intricacies of future legal systems. Amidst these routine etchings were scribes with an eye for artistry, materials bound by obligation rather than inspiration. Their clay canvases were filled with bureaucratic records, leaving little room for artistic expression. These scribes were akin to artists restrained, yearning to infuse their potential into their work, but bound by the confines of careful precision. Their elegance and detail imbued the mundane with unintended beauty, even as their creativity remained uncelebrated. Their symbolic craftsmanship straddled function and creativity, infusing sterile accounts with the spirit of their times. Although the constraints limited their voice, their artistry spoke in whispers, an enduring testament to their resilience against imposed limitations. A testament that imagination cannot be entirely silenced. These scribal artists remind us of the art hidden within the routine, enduring in every stroke and mark. Unburying the secrets beneath Mesopotamian sands, archaeological digs capture the echoes of a seemingly lost world. Clay tablets, etched with cuneiform, speak from their silent chambers, resurrecting the lives of those compelled to create them. Each methodical stroke preserved in clay means reconnecting with a scribe's fleeting touch, a task modern archaeologists approach with reverence for history's quiet witnesses. As they uncover these fragments of past communications, what emerges is not just a history engraved, but the stark anonymity shrouding the scribes themselves. In museums today, spectators gaze upon these ancient relics, now prominent displays behind glass, often ignoring the multitude of pressures etched into each piece of clay. The tablets, once mundane, are transformed into beacons of an era long vanished, connecting present observers with societies animated by ancient customs. Yet, amid narratives of rituals, commerce, and societal orders, the human artisan's personal stories remain overshadowed by the grandeur of what their hands created. Within these exhibits, the invisible legacy of the scribes lurks in shadows, yearning for that rare autonomy their work rarely afforded. Miraculously, the tablets themselves, now millennia old, outlive not only the empires whose stories they tell, but also the scribes who etch them with painstaking diligence. While the memories of kings and the grandeur of cities fall into obscurity, these clay records endure, timeless in their simplicity. The irony stings. The scribes' lives were fleeting, crisscrossed with routine and imperfection. Yet the clay endures, whispering the scribe's silent story of craftsmanship smothered by the ages. What was once an obligation for remuneration thrives today as testamentary endurance, a bittersweet permanence mocking the ephemeral lives behind each symbol. The irony does not escape the scribes who toiled to leave marks that denied them personal fame. Their contributions forged the spine of civilization's narratives, yet recognition escapes them, their names scattered to obscurity's winds. Generations would look back, seeing culture and commerce immortalized. Yet the artisan's intimate fingerprints fade, lost in a broader epoch's narrative. The exhaustion, precision, and steadfastness demanded spray across ancient records, manufacturing culture without acknowledging its enactments. Beneath the solidity of these tablets lies a story far grimmer, one of demanding physical normality and emotional anguish. The coarse clay requires an unbending will for precision, its ferocity meeting the vulnerability of human bodies. Strained eyes track the script, while calloused fingers endure its crafting. Pain, hardly captured elsewhere, manifests in sore backs and splitting nails, emotions confined to the narrow parameters of favour and punishment. This quest for precision echoes with heartache. Each mistake under the scribe's hand weighed heavily, framed by hovering retribution's shadow. Today's scholars peer into these unconcealed symbols, piecing together realms now silent, tasked with giving voice to those wiped from history's visible scope. As artifacts yield their secrets, the men and women behind remain spectral, no less implanted in historical domains. It is the scholar's duty to resurrect these glimpses, to balance historical fact with compassion for the creators thus entangled by anonymous ennui. They must draw upon disjointed arrays of glyphs to invite the spectres of vanished lives into collective memory, without skewing the integrity of those bygone impressions. The endurance of cuneiform, these etchings on clay connecting epochs, speaks volumes of its sensibility, elegantly transcending temporal barriers. The past voice resonating today requires meticulous interpretation, each wedge and stroke a narrow key to decipher lost civilizations in modern tongues. Through these translations, grasping messages lost to time, our bond across centuries deepens. With each interpretation, we strengthen ties to our forebears' minds, marvelling at our retention of their legacy. Through their styluses, scribes epitomized artistry, cloistered by rote monotony. Craftsmanship echoed quietly between recruited art and mechanical efficiency, each precise action part of a broader melody, revealing talent stifled by mundane realities. The dichotomy between their craft and lives unfolds vividly. Quests for cultural immortality fostered within the oppressive shell of task and task again, the cycle unbroken. And yet every message produced embodied a vibrant force of creativity, driving them, forging links that no limitation could extinguish. In rediscovering these unnoticed artisans, modern historians seek to penetrate the silence, offering texture to shrouded lives. By reading between the strokes, they reconstruct forgotten scenes, a mosaic of ambitions and tribulations uncommonly acknowledged in their own lifetimes. Artisans treated as mere vessels sought substance through their toil, their humanity expressed variously as imagined bards, configurators of a larger historical identity. These exercises in imagination attempt to extend against silence, a reminder that lyrically vital stories lay behind each formed script. The history of Mesopotamian scribes echoes with timeless lessons, reflecting struggles of existence and anonymity. Born within firm hierarchies, these artists demonstrate resilience, the creativity of forging distinct identities amid enduring social constraints. Their surviving work blends struggle and remembrance, mirroring humanity's eternal striving for identity beyond sheer result. As viewers become acquainted with these scribes, the whisper of transformation serenades. These tales illuminate endurance, creativity, and the determined impulse to leave, imperfect as it may be, an everlasting mark. And now, dear viewers, if you've travelled this far into the echoes of ancient lives and found something to marvel, ponder, or perhaps to share, you know what to do next. Like, subscribe, and accompany us on future explorations into the wondrous folds of history's embrace.